If you're on Verizon Wireless and haven't hopped on the Windows Phone 8 bandwagon just yet, the Samsung ATIV Odyssey has arrived to get you on board. Will it work? I already did a hardware review, but just to do a quick recap, here are the specs. It's got Windows Phone, so you know that it has a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor. It also has a gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigabytes of internal memory, and if that's not enough for you, you've got a micro SD slot that supports up to 64 gigabytes. From a design standpoint, it's classic Samsung. It's got that glossy plastic back. If you've seen the Galaxy Note, you notice that it's kind of similar to that. Also, the Galaxy S3, and it has the faux chrome accents on the side. So it's kind of the same thing. It has that fake brushed metal appearance, but it's really just plastic. Now, the phone has a 4-inch display, so that makes it very nice and comfortable to hold in your hand. The resolution is 480 by 800. Now, that on itself isn't bad, but it's a pen-tile display, so it looks pretty bad when you're doing other things. When you're watching videos, you would expect it to be HD content, just be nice and fluid, but actually what happened is you end up getting like this thin little mesh that you see over the screen, so things don't appear as clear as they should be. The problem gets even worse once you start reading text. Let me switch tabs so you can see what I mean. When you're reading text, especially black over white backgrounds, which is pretty much the entire web, the text appears pixelated and dotty and rugged and jagged, and it's just not a pleasant experience at all. It's kind of disappointing because the screen is one of the most important aspects of a phone, and they just didn't get it right here. As far as software, you pretty much know what you're getting because this is Windows Phone 8. There's a standard way of approaching everything. You have your music from Xbox. You have Internet Explorer, which is actually a pretty good browser. It's not as feature-rich as you see with Safari or the Google browser for Chrome and all that. But in terms of speed, it handles everything well enough. This is the full mobileburn website. It loaded it in probably 7 seconds or less, and there's a lot of content on this page, so that's something good to have. It has tabs, recents, favorites, things like that. You shouldn't have any problem using that browser. Aside from that, there's another cool Windows Phone 8 feature, which is Data Sense. It basically alerts you to how much data you used within your monthly billing period and tells you specifically how you've used it. So when I see that I've used 146 streaming media, that's listening to a lot of Slacker radio and watching YouTube videos, I know that maybe I ought to wait until I go on YouTube, on Wi-Fi a little more before I start accessing YouTube and all of those things. And here you see I have the start screen. These are live tells. They basically alert you to things that you have going on. So rather than just saying tap on this to access your email, it alerts me, says, hey, you have one unread email that you should access. If I don't want to have this on there anymore, I can just long press on it. I have multiple options. I can change the size to only be that big, or I can get rid of it altogether. And then I can change this to be smaller or expand and take up across the whole screen. But there are also some things that are unique to Samsung. These are some apps that Samsung has preloaded on the device. My favorite is Now because it's basically a snapshot of what's going on around you. It tells you your local weather, gives you a forecast, and you can scroll down and add more cities. So if you're going to be in Chicago and you say, man, this weather's it's worse than here, maybe I ought to go to Miami instead. You can scroll through and you can get news from Yahoo News, and it refreshes every time you come in. You can choose a category, so if you want sports or you want world news, politics, anything like that. Has stocks. You can track specific indices, or you can your own personal stock portfolio. And then you can also check the current currency rates and then go back, and that's pretty much Now. Easy to access. It has a live tile, so it's always going to tell you the weather right here, and you tap on it to get your news and things. If you want something a little more robust when it comes to news, you can use this RSS reader that'll link with your Google account, and then you can choose which categories if you have labels in Google. So I have one that's set up for all my mobile stuff that I'm tracking, all my tech stuff. And then you can just choose to add a specific feed or a section, and you can browse through your list just like that. Mini Diary is something that's kind of interesting. Not really though, not personally, but I'm sure there's somebody who will find a use for it. Basically, it allows you to create a journal entry of everything that you do. So you can have like a daily one saying, oh, today I went to the mall. But if you're traveling or something, maybe that might be a more useful case. You can do something where you create a new one, you add a photo. So let's say you're in San Francisco and you add a photo that you took while there. Okay, just anything. All right, you added that photo. You add your location saying this is where I was when I was at the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you tap here and you add text. You can leave yourself little notes or ideas about the trips, things like that. It allows you to create multiple entries, so you're always going to have some kind of like a geocache way of seeing what went on with you while you were there, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool. And then finally, you have the photo editor, which is kind of nice actually. It allows you to mess around with settings so you can edit, crop, and things like that. But you can also adjust brightness. So I can go on a sliding scale, increase the brightness. I can go to the contrast, decrease or increase that as well. And then once I'm done, I save the photo and share it to another app and post it online or just to my own personal gallery. Beauty is another one that's kind of cool. It's a downloadable lens, so it'll improve the face that you have, the picture that you take. So if your face has blemishes, it'll try to take a picture and remove the blemishes and try to clean it up a little bit, but you can't clean up that mug. On the surface, the Samsung ATIV Odyssey is actually a good phone. It has some nice features because Windows Phone 8 has some standardizations that create a good experience no matter which phone you have. It benefits from that. But there are some things to take away from this. Even within the confines of Windows Phone, the app choices are not as plentiful as you'll get with a Nokia device. You can get the Nokia Lumia on Verizon for the same price basically and get a better experience with more apps and a better screen. This screen takes a lot away from this device. Unfortunately, the pen tile setup just really distracts you when you're reading or watching videos, and that's kind of disappointing. Samsung has some nice features built in, but they're not enough to overlook the shortcomings of this phone. So if you want to get a Verizon phone and you want Windows Phone 8, you're better off getting the ACC 8X or the Lumia 822. The ATIV Odyssey just isn't going to cut it. It has some nice features, some strong qualities, but the distractions from it are really hard to overlook. So in the end, I'd skip this phone.